Hi, this is Benny. I've dedicated my life to understanding the universe in hopes that someday I am given the opportunity to hop on a rocket and see it for myself. Growing up, my safe space was between the covers of a book. My friends were people like Percy Jackson, Alex Rider, Paddington Bear, Beatrice Pryor, Hermione Granger, and the Astrosaurs, a group of crime-fighting dinosaurs in space. And so, using Space Bites, this podcast, I am hoping to create the same type of safe space where knowledge is for everyone and anything is possible. Together, we can marvel at the boundless beauty of the universe and find hope within the delicate intricacies that weave the fabric of our world. If there's one thing we have in common as human beings, it is our curiosity, and a curious mind is a happy one. Together, we will learn how the gold in our rings was made inside of stars, how the flap of butterfly wings can cause an earthquake, how charged particles from the sun interact with Earth's magnetic field to paint the sky with glowing lights, and how math is the language that describes everything. Every atom in your body was created in a star. The carbon in your DNA, the oxygen you breathe, the calcium in your bones, all of it originated in stellar furnaces. This means that quite literally, the universe is in you. You are a product of cosmic alchemy, billions of years in the making. The same processes that formed galaxies also formed you, linking your existence to the vastness of the universe.
Just read a little bit, indulge in your hobbies, and take action. Just do it. And when you do get the chance, finally, and you've learned enough how to play the guitar, go perform somewhere. Go perform in front of your friends. Just do it,
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Space Bites with Benny. It's me, Benny, your favorite nerd. And today you're listening to another episode in the IIAS Diaries, where I sit down with the people that I did my IIAS training with, which is AST 101. So that's Intro to Astronautics 101 at the International Institute of Astronautical Sciences. And so it's such a mouthful. Anyways, I'm sitting down today with Hasaan Mohsin. Hi, Hasaan. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys. So I am an astrophysicist. I just graduated from the University of Toronto, and I love going on adventures. I love skydiving, scuba diving, flying planes. I'm trying to learn how to be a pilot right now. I'm a student pilot. And, honestly, the dream is to be an astronaut. So we're trying to aim for that. That's why I joined IIAS. That's how I met all these cool people. That's how I met Banaan. And now let's see what happens.
All right, so we're just going to hop right into the questions. My first question for you is, tell me about your academic and personal background.
So academically, my undergrad was purely theoretical physics and astronomy at the University of Toronto. And yeah, that's it. That's my academic background.
Okay, cool. And what's your personal background like? Because I know, when it comes to your personal background, I have to mention this, which is, so you weren't in my IIAS class, which was 2502, but one of the reasons why I reached out to you to have you on the podcast is because we both grew up in Saudi Arabia, which is very cool, because I haven't met many people that are from Saudi that want to grow up and become astronauts. So it's very cool. I feel like I really connected, and like your journey so far really resonated with me, and that's why I reached out to you. So do you want to tell us a little bit about growing up in Saudi and what that was like?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's great to connect with another person who grew up in Saudi. It's so hard to find those around me. I don't find a lot of classmates who've been in Saudi, but I'm originally Pakistani. I was born in Pakistan in Lahore, and I stayed there for like the first about 6 years or so. And because of my dad's job, we had to move. So left everything behind, and we moved to Oman for 1 year. And we lived in the capital of Oman, Muscat, for about a year, which was beautiful, beautiful place. It's very peaceful. It's not really a big metropolitan city, but very peaceful. And that's what I liked about it. And then 1 year later, we moved to Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. That's the capital. And I spent the rest of my education life there until like high school graduation. And I think that it was a very peaceful environment. It was a change from Pakistan for sure. It was very wholesome. I think everybody there, I feel like, is there to support you. They're going to be helping you out. There was definitely a language barrier. That was probably the hardest part about it. But, because of that, I learned Arabic. So in the end, that kind of helped me. But I still miss it, and I would like to go back. And after high school graduation, I came to Canada for my undergrad at the University of Toronto. And now I'm sitting in Toronto.
What's your favorite Saudi food?
That's a good question. I'm going to have to go with the classic. I'm just going to say kapsa.
Wait, do you know how to cook kapsa? Because I'm pretty sure you need like the special like pressurized. No, yeah, I'm such a like I'm asking you this. I can't cook either, so no.
I can barely make a cake. So like kapsa is a very far thing to do.
And so because you lived in all of these places, I'm gonna assume that you speak multiple languages.
Quite a few, yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So I grew up in Pakistan with my first language was Urdu, which is the same as Hindi. So I'll just count that as one, Urdu and Hindi. And then at the same time, I also grew up with English. So that is my first language now, essentially. Even though that's not my parents' language, but everywhere I went, there was usually a language barrier, and English was the way I survived. And then when I went to school, I chose French as my second language, and I studied French for 10 years. And growing up in the Middle East, in Oman and Saudi Arabia, I think combined that's like 14 years. I also picked up Arabic. I also studied it in school. It was mandatory for us to study Arabic as at least a third language. So 10 years of Arabic as well. And towards the end of high school, I started watching a lot of Netflix and I got interested in like Spanish movies. So I started learning Spanish. Then when I came to university, I did a minor in Spanish and now I'm fluent in Spanish. And then there are a couple languages from Pakistan, like Punjabi and Gujarati, that I can understand. I can't speak them, but I can fluently understand them.
That's awesome. And can you say I want to become an astronaut in all those languages?
Well, let's see. I don't know if I can say them in all of them.
Just try. Just try.
Okay, in Urdu and Hindi would be "Mujhe bade hoke astronaut banna hai." In English, I think you have it. In Spanish, it would be "Quiero ser un astronauta." I don't think I can do it in French. I'm so out of touch. I'm out of practice. It's gone. Game's gone. And what's left? Wait, what?
Arabic.
Remaining?
Arabic.
Hold on. Let me think if I can do it Arabic.
I can help with the Arabic one.
How do you say become?
Asbah.
Asbah. I thought that was to swim.
No, not asbah, asbah, like sod.
You said the same thing twice. Okay, hold on. So would you say بدي أسبح astronaut?
Yeah, أريد أن أصبح رائد فضاء. Astronaut is رائد
فضاء. That's very fusha.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's. Also, I went to a Lebanese school, so.
Oh, you know, like Lebanese Arabic.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's why, because I know. Wait, in Saudi Arabia, how do you say I want? Like, do you say abgha or what are you used to?
I say abgha, yeah, not biddi.
Yeah, I've never heard that before until like graduation, and I found out apparently, like, oh, everybody in Saudi Arabia says abgha.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so what language do you use when you're being logical, when you think about astrophysics?
Oh, English, because all of my education was in English.
And if you're feeling emotional or sad, like what language do you use to express those feelings?
If English for a good chunk of it, but when I'm being really emotional, then maybe Urdu, because that's like home language.
Mm-hmm.
That's the emotional one.
And what about like when you dream or when you're like thinking?
I think it's a mix of the two. I think one of the qualities about Urdu and Hindi is that they're very flexible languages. Even people, like you can find people who grew up their entire life in Lahore or even from India. Like let's say they grew up their entire life in Mumbai, who grew up on Urdu and Hindi, but they speak fluent English and they speak the mixed. Like those two languages have been started to, like people speak them mixed now. So I think in both.
All right, that's pretty cool, I would say. And so we don't only have growing up in Saudi in common, but we also have obviously like astronomy in common. You're more into astrophysics, I'm more into cosmology, but I think we both agreed that they fall under the astronomy umbrella. So what would you say is your favorite celestial object?
Celestial object. That's an interesting one. I think, well, I'm going to give you a basic answer, but it is so beautiful. I just can't. Saturn. Like,
Really? That's so basic.
yeah. Yes, but like when I saw it through a telescope myself, that was it was phenomenal. So I have to go with that.
I like that. What's the story behind you seeing Saturn behind a telescope for the first time?
Well, I had never actually looked through a telescope until I came to university. I never had access to telescopes. And we used to have a large observatory at the University of Toronto. And that's part of the reason why I came here. But unfortunately, during COVID, they sold it due to lack of funding. So the moment I came here, we did not have an observatory. And I did not have access to a telescope. So in first year, me and my friends, we pooled together, like 20 of us, pitched in money. Everybody put in like $10 or something. And we bought a telescope and we set it up and we spent hours on YouTube trying to figure out how to set it up. And at the end, we did not manage to set it up. We never found out how to look through it. And so that's another stall in my plans. So then I had to wait until I got another chance. And at some point later on in second year, I joined an astronomy club. And I was elected. I had to fight and people had to vote for me. So I gathered enough votes to get elected and I got on the team. And then I was able to host an observation night. So on top of our physics building, there is one telescope that was installed like 100 years ago. It's quite old, but it still works. And so we hosted an observation night for the public. We opened it for anybody can come take a look. And we asked the operator there, set it up at Saturn. And then after like years of trying, I was like, finally. So that was a magical moment.
Wow. And it seemed like you really had to earn it too. It didn't come so easily.
Oh yeah, setting up a telescope is more difficult than you would expect.
So why did you choose astronomy then as not only your university degree, but also it seems like something that you're super passionate about?
I think it all started from me wanting to become an astronaut. I want to go into the unknown. Well, I mean, as a kid, I would just go on YouTube and just search up all the unknown mysteries, like what happens with the Bermuda Triangle? Are ghosts real? Just trying to figure out things that nobody has the answer to. And I picked space. That was my choice of drug. This was the unknown that I want to unravel. And I think I realized at some point that, oh, I don't know if astronaut is possible. So, because I'm not American, I can't join NASA. So, what's the next closest thing that I enjoy? It's also within the space industry. Astrophysics. If I can't go up there, hey, I can at least look at it from down here. You know, I'm sure at some point I'll get to look through a telescope. So, with my goal of wanting to look through a telescope, I joined astronomy.
That's awesome. I like that a lot, actually. This is another thing that we have in common. I'm also very much motivated by my curiosity. And this is where the idea of this podcast kind of came in, where it was like, I wish someone could answer all these questions for me. And then I was like, what if I just make the kind of content that 6-year-old Banan would really enjoy? So now it's just like, oh, I'm just talking about all these like random topics that I find really interesting. And whatever human being out there that is just as curious and just as passionate about this will be willing to listen to the 1 hour long episodes of me just talking about anything I want to talk about, you know? And so the title of this episode is like how to do it all with Hasaan, right? Why do I say that about you? Because like you said, you're super adventurous. You're trying to do everything. You're not your stereotypical like physics nerd that's sitting behind a desk or in front of a blackboard. You're into scuba diving. You're into actual skydiving. You're into getting your flying license. You're into doing all of these different things. And I think this requires a certain amount of like having heart and having really strong mental resilience. So how do you maintain that? Because it must be pretty difficult to do.
I think your mental resilience is all about how you deal with failure, how you deal with setbacks. And to be honest, like I not good at setbacks. I wasn't good at dealing with failure when I came to university. I had a fairly straightforward high school experience. I never had too many difficulties with academics or anything. So I didn't know how to deal with failure. I didn't know what to do in those cases. And when I came to university, well, university life is filled with setbacks. And I'm not just talking academic. Yeah, academics big. But, you know, socially, like you leaving everything behind, moving to a new country, making new friends. your friend group falls apart, maybe a little bit financially as well, because, Canada is expensive in every aspect. And just, I think that I realized I want to treat life like a video game. That's like my analogy to it. Like in a video game, whatever game you're playing, it could be Need for Speed, it could be Mario Bros. But if you're losing, you could yank the console plug from the wall. You could just give up. But like, what's the fun in that? Like, just treat life as a video game and try to do as much as you can. Just, go all out. Just keep trying. The levels will get more difficult as you level up, but that's how you know you're going in the right direction if things get more difficult. And in terms of like career, I think self-efficacy. Believe in yourself to the point of delusion. Like, convince yourself, not just tell yourself, convince yourself that you can do anything you put your mind to. Literally anything. It's all in your mind. And I think that delusion is what carries me.
I'm really glad that you said it that way, because this is something that I try to always tell people, like always tell the people around me, always tell my friends, especially when they're like, oh, you're doing too much with your life. Like you need to like choose one thing and like stick to one path. Or when people question this astronaut dream, because they're like, oh, like realistically speaking, what are the chances of you actually being able to go to space? But then again, this is it. Who are the ones that actually make it? Who are the ones that actually achieve these crazy dreams? They're the ones who are crazy enough to actually think of them in the first place. You know what I mean? When someone asks me, oh, like, how did you decide to become an astronaut? If I don't want to give them like the long answer, the very short answer is, oh, when I was 6 years old, I decided I wanted to become an astronaut and I just didn't change my mind. Because it's like, oh, when you're 6 years old, you want to become an astronaut, you want to become a firefighter. And I was like, yeah, I just chose astronaut and I kind of just stuck with it for the past 17 years, you know?
Yeah, like when somebody asks you, like, how did you think that you were capable? Like, how did you think you could do this? And my answer is just that I never thought I couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I owe a lot of it to my parents as well. Like they definitely ingrained this philosophy in my mind at a very young age. And then at a certain point, it was up to me to maintain that and not let like every hardship, every obstacle in the way tear me down and be like, oh, this just proves to me I can't do anything. But in fact, the complete opposite. Everything that you go through contributes to that journey of you, trying to go to space. And everything that I do is in service of that dream, whether it's the way that I eat or the way that I sleep or the way that I exercise. Hence, like the whole no sugar thing. Yeah, obviously, no offense to you when I say this. Okay, do you have any like philosophies or like short, like little quotes that you like to say?
About, mental resilience? Or?
Yeah, just about mental resilience.
I love quotes. I like too many quotes to pick one. But about mental resilience, I think I just want people to treat failures like an opportunity to learn. Like, your failure isn't just, now you're on the ground. You got to get back up, right? So learn what you did wrong, get better, and you will have a much more meaningful journey. You'll go so much farther if you learn from your mistakes instead of just getting scared that, oh, I made a mistake, maybe I'm not capable. Because that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes. So I think the quote, I would sum it up as, treat your setbacks as learning opportunities.
And I think you have something written here that I really like. And you say, delusional Hassan can become homeless tomorrow and be completely fine with it because he knows he'll build it all back up.
Yeah, okay. So that's about like, okay. I think a lot of people that I know that I was friends with, they've lived like in Saudi Arabia. I remember I had a couple classmates who had a very different lifestyle. They were able to, afford everything. They never had a lot of setbacks. So for them, they could never even imagine having to suddenly move to a different neighborhood or live in a smaller house, have a smaller car. They were just so set on their lifestyle. And I was very surprised by that. I just think that you should not be scared of, what if I become homeless? Yeah, so what? Work hard. It doesn't matter if you're homeless, you don't have a job, nothing's working out. Keep going. keep going. You can, like, that's what I'm saying. I'm so delusional that if I end up being homeless, I'll work my way back up 100%. I don't know how, but I will do it.
I respect that. I really respect that. So you've done a lot of high pressure physical training, for all these different hobbies and skill sets that you have, like flying, diving, skydiving. And which one do you think challenged your mindset the most?
I think flying has to be the obvious answer. In the long term, that one kind of like reshaped how I think about challenges. The other two have their own mental challenges. All of them, of course, are difficult. I think it takes some time to build up the courage to do those things, depending on, how adventurous you are. I think skydiving was probably the easiest for me. I was I had like all my trust in that guy because I had a tandem skydive. Tandem basically is where I'm attached to another guy and he pulls the parachute. He does the work for me, so I don't have to worry about it. And I guess mostly it's like a fear of heights, a fear of falling. And this doesn't happen overnight. It's not like one day I woke up and I was like, I'm just going to go skydiving. As a kid, I worked up and got over my fear of heights and falling. That has been in the making for years. After all that, now I don't have a fear of heights. Now I'm ready to go skydiving. And it was pretty straightforward. I think on video, skydiving looks really, really scary and dangerous, but in reality, it's pretty chill. Your body doesn't even realize you're falling. Like, you don't get that feeling in your stomach. That doesn't even happen. All you feel is the wind in your face. So that was pretty chill. And it's all very short. So your actual free fall is about like 30 seconds. So it's very short. Whereas scuba diving, that took, so I got a scuba diving license, an open water license with Patty. And that took me multiple weeks to work up to. And I think for most people, when you sign up for scuba diving, you have to ask yourself, like, what are you expecting? Are you expecting to just, have a fun roller coaster? Or just expecting a fun adventure, like you strap in, you put on your seatbelt and somebody's going to give you an adventure? Or are you expecting to put in work and learn new skills? Because you're going to have to do things that you've never done before. And, deal with failures, because water is going to go in your nose and mouth and everywhere. And at some points, you are literally going to be drowning. I'm not joking. It's part of the training. You will be drowning. They will most likely put you in some situation where you will drown, and you have to remain calm under pressure. So are you willing? Do you understand that you want to be learning new skills? You have to like purposefully put your mindset that, hey, I will put time and learn these new skills. And with scuba diving, I think it definitely took me a while. The first time I did it, water went everywhere. I kept drowning, and I almost gave up, but I went back home and I called my friend. I was like, hey, should I cancel my next class? I don't know if I can do this. And then he was like, no, we're gonna fix it. And my friend has a swimming pool in his building. So I went to his pool and I went there and I swam for 2 hours, just practicing, trying to kind of breathe underwater, like not drown and just stay down and do a bunch of different maneuvers. And I did that every day for a week until my next class. And then I aced my class and I was good to go and I got my license. And now I love scuba diving. It's one of my favorite activities. And I think pilot's license, like becoming a pilot, it starts off pretty smooth because, it's all fun and games at the beginning. Your instructor's doing everything for you. And you're used to a commercial flight. You don't know all the things that could go wrong. But then as you get more into your training, you realize that you are the pilot. You're learning to be the pilot. You have to deal with all the emergencies, and they will put you in the emergencies. Your instructor will purposefully turn off the engine, like all the time. Every time I'm up there, my instructor will tell me, hey, look left, there's a bird there. So I'll look at the bird. And while I'm looking at the bird, he's going to turn off the engine. He's like, Hasaan, recover now. And, sometimes if we are in a bad position, we have like about 10 seconds before we hit the ground. So you have to recover. This is the life or death situation. And the first time I practiced one of these recoveries, we call them, there's a specific type of recovery called a stall recovery. And it's probably one of the more dangerous things that they teach you during your training. And all you have to do to recover from that, when you're, by the way, in stall, you're falling out of the sky. Your engine is off. You're just falling. you have to fix the direction of your plane and put the engine power back in. In theory, that is so simple. That's all you have to do, 2 steps. But when I was in the plane, when I actually did it, I couldn't figure out how to put the right inputs. And we ended up nosediving towards the ground at full power. And I almost killed myself and my instructor. And in that moment, I genuinely thought, like, it's over. That's it. This is how I go out. This is over. But
So why couldn't
yeah,
you figure out where the correct inputs were? Like, did you not practice this beforehand?
I read the theory a million times. I read it 100 times over. I knew exactly what to do, or at least I thought. But when you do it in reality, everything just happens so fast, I think, that you don't get time to think about it. Like, you don't have even a single second to think about what you're doing because the plane is spinning so fast. Sometimes you're not even looking outside. Like, is the ground up or down? Like, sometimes you don't know. Like, sometimes I look, there have been multiple times where I look up and I'm like, wait a minute, that's brown. Brown is up. The ground is up. Oh no, that's not good. So your orientation kind of gets messed up when you're doing these recoveries and you don't have time to think. You just have to have muscle memory. And so, like, that time where I almost killed myself and my instructor, and I did that multiple times, by the way. After that lesson, I got down and I was like, yeah, I'm not cut out for this. Hell no. Like, I have to call the flight school and tell them, like, I'm done. And I think it took me a couple weeks, months even, to really build up my courage again. And in the long term, that challenged my mindset the most because there were so many setbacks in flight school. And even when I finally thought that, okay, I know everything and I can fly it on my own now, I failed my solo evaluation. I just could not land well. Every time I came in for landing, I hit the ground pretty hard. We call them like crash landings. And I had way too many crash landings. And so they wouldn't clear me, obviously. And again, I thought, oh, maybe I'm slow. Everybody else in my class is doing it. Why am I the only one who can't do it? Maybe something's just my coordination's off. But again, with enough time and practice, I did it. And, now I feel, what's the word for it? I can do everything. I can conquer everything. Give me a good word for that. Do you know a word for that?
Powerful?
No, like unstoppable-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not that you are powerful. It's that even if there is something that tries to stop you, so what? You kind of just get over it. Like, it's not too hard. And so you mentioned that after the first time that you had to do this type of training, you said it took you a couple of months to recover, right? What did you do to recover from that? Like, how does that even happen?
I think, well, you got to have confidence, right? Confidence isn't just a mindset. Confidence is practice. So even if whether it's, you're practicing flight maneuvers or you're about to present a slideshow in front of the class, in front of your, grade 6 class, you're going to be nervous. You're not used to presenting in front of the class. You might mess up in front of everybody, but you got to have confidence. So what do you do at home? You prepare your presentation and you do a mock run. You don't do one. You do 10, 20, 30, so many, to the point of, like, you just cannot mess up at that point. Do so many, more than necessary. Go the unnecessary mile. Go the extra mile always. Because at that point, now you just would not be able to mess up. And in my case, so for example, for the flight stuff, well, I first of all bought a flight simulator. I was like, at this point, I need to invest. And I bought a computer. I bought a flight simulator. And every day, for quite a while, every day, I would just sit at my desk. And with the controls, I would put myself in aviation emergencies. And I would try to recover. And at the same time, we would also do something called chair flying. So for all pilots, we tell them to chair fly, which is essentially you have your checklist and stuff in front of you. And you just sit in a chair, close your eyes, or you can keep them open, but you go through all the maneuvers, just imaginary. Just move your hands around as if you're doing the inputs and just fly in your head while you're sitting on the chair. And you do that every day for months until you can, this is also something that you do before aerobatic shows. So when you go to air shows, those pilots, they have to fly in formation. And before they fly in formation, they do chair flying together. You go through the entire thing, but on the ground. And that's what gives you practice. So I think a lot of practice like that gave me the confidence, like, okay, I think I can recover each time this happens from then on.
So you could imagine in your head what the dashboard looks like, where all the buttons are, and you just kind of like, have you ever played blind chess before?
Yeah, yeah.
Similar to that. Okay,
It's
cool.
not as complicated as blind chess, but you do have to like imagine stuff. So gotta have a good imagination.
And do you often feel overwhelmed by doing all of this stuff? And when you do feel overwhelmed, what brings you back to your purpose and reminds you, just what anchors you, what grounds you to your purpose after?
Oh, all the time. I feel overwhelmed all the time. I'm scared every time I do one of these things. It's not that I don't get scared. I get nervous, I get scared, I am having anxiety attacks all the time. It happens, but I do it with my stress. Like, even though I'm scared, I will still do it. And when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I think I just remind myself that, like, I have free will. I chose this challenge. And, let's say when I was in university and I'm getting really, really overwhelmed, there were, of course, many, many times I can remind myself that, hey, if I want, I can move to like bam, Canada, like the beautiful Canadian Rockies. I can move there and become a goat farmer. I can go visit the lakes every day. I can go biking, just ride a bicycle in those beautiful like green trails every day. That's a beautiful life, 10 out of 10. But, right now I have this challenge at hand. I could do that. There's always a way out. The way out might be not the way you want. It might not be, the success that you have defined for yourself in your head. But there are still so many excellent ways that you could live your life. I think it's a privilege to be overwhelmed by a challenge you undertook.
Honestly, the way that you're phrasing this is just amazing because this is exactly what I say to everyone around me all the time. Do it scared. I'm also terrified like half of the time. Every time I had to move to a new country, every time I had to do a difficult course, every time when I was doing like all the IIAS training stuff, when I wanted to start the podcast, because by the way, I was a very shy person. I was very shy. I swear to you, I was like, ask anyone, like ask my family, I was a very shy person up until January 2025. And then one
Oh,
day
interesting.
so this is like 6 months ago. And then one day I just woke up and I decided I don't want to be shy anymore because I felt like I was missing out so much on life. And then same thing, I just decided not to be something and wanted to be something else. And that was a decision that I made. I know I also always tell myself, if this whole thing doesn't work out, I'm going to rent an RV, go live in the mountains for the next 50 years. Nobody's ever going to hear from me ever again. I'm just going to live completely isolated somewhere in the Swiss mountain, just like hiking and eating from my garden every single day. Like genuinely, this is the life that I want. If I
Yeah,
wasn't trying
literally.
to, yeah.
Rent an RV and just do a road trip around Europe. Just like see all the places. You could literally work a normal like minimum wage job and all you need to do is afford food. Just go around, live your life. You could spend years just on a road trip. Go into Asia, go into more countries. Like, what's stopping you?
And literally nothing. And I wouldn't mind if my whole life was just a series of road trips because I don't think I'm a very high maintenance person. Like you said, if I have food, if I have somewhere safe, somewhere to shower at the end of the night, hell yeah, I'm very happy. And I just being in nature, being so grounded into, I don't know how to say this, but so in tune with the nature around you feels very similarly to what I feel when I'm studying, like when I'm doing cosmology, when I'm studying the galaxies, when I'm studying all the objects that are out there. It feels the same way, you know? So I wouldn't mind if, okay, I give this astronaut thing a go. If it happens, great. I go to space, I come back, I do a bunch of research on the ISS. What's next? Disappear. Rent an RV and just disappear. Okay, cool. I'm really, it's very rare. I often have people on this podcast, and it's more so like they learn from me and they teach to the audience. It's very rare that I have someone on the podcast where I feel like I'm learning something new. But this is how I feel. And like I'm listening to you, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I feel like you're the one who's doing the podcast, and I'm just part of the audience, like just listening to you. It's very cool that you could do that. All right. So how do you deal with imposter syndrome? Because I know quite a few people that are as ambitious and as out there as we are deal with this thing as well. So how do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Well, I think I've been an imposter syndrome my whole life. Everything I do is imposter syndrome. Like when I came to university, I would compare myself to everybody in my physics class, because somehow everybody was getting straight A's where I would study 24/7 and I still could not pass. Like, I don't know what's going on. And that's, it has to do with, I was genuinely behind. Like, it's not always just imposter syndrome. Like, I was behind during COVID. Classes were online. It wasn't as efficient. I didn't learn as much. And when I came to uni, yeah, I don't know if it's imposter syndrome or if I'm genuinely behind. Maybe they also had online classes. Maybe they're behind as well, but I don't know. But I think imposter syndrome is going to be everywhere. Every single time you learn a new skill or you're trying to learn a new skill, right? It doesn't matter if you're taking on salsa dancing classes or you are learning to bake, because you are doing things that you've never done before. You're going to have imposter syndrome. Somebody in your class is going to be an expert already or seemingly an expert, but that's okay. That's the thing. When you're in class, be with the mindset that you genuinely want to learn. You're here to learn and be the best version of yourself. You're here to improve. You're not here to compare yourself to everybody else. And the goal is not to be, hey, I'm the best in the class. That's great. If you end up doing that, that is amazing. Good for you. But it's okay if you're not. Like, you're here to learn. And I remember, okay, so in flight school, for example, when I signed up, I was the youngest person in my class. I go to a self-paced flight school. So everybody else was like mid-30s, mid-40s. Everybody is a well-established person in their career. They are looking for a career change. Me, I've never had a career. I've never held a full-time job. They looked at me like I was a kid, and I am essentially. And I remember first day of class, everybody is talking about their favorite plane. The teacher, like in the icebreakers, they're like, everybody go around one by one and tell me your favorite type of plane. Bro, I don't even know a single model of airplane. I've never played a simulator. They're all talking about, they'll show a picture and then everybody in class will suddenly jump up and say, oh yeah, that's the Dash 8 from the Porter Airlines and this and that. I have no idea. Until the second week of my training, I didn't know what a rudder was, which if you're not aviation related, it's just how you go left and right in a plane. There's a stabilizer. And it's a very critical component that somehow everybody knew about, but I didn't. And of course, within 2 weeks into flight training, I was like, oh my God, everybody here is obsessed with planes. They know everything. And if they take a year to get their license, I'm going to take 5 years to get my license. I'm going to be so behind. But I think I'm not sure what my mindset at that point was, but it worked because I was like, I'm going to learn from these people instead of just like being scared and thinking like, oh, they're just so much better than me. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to ask them, hey, what do you do? How do you learn more about these topics? What are your experiences? I can learn from their mistakes. Since they have so much experience, they've probably had some setbacks. They've learned a few lessons. I can learn from them. And eventually, of course, if you are feeling imposter syndrome, put in the work on your own at home. Like when you go back home at night, read a little bit extra, an hour, just sit down on your laptop and read a little bit extra until you feel caught up. And nothing happens overnight. It's not going to be you sit down one night, Friday night, you sit down for 1 hour. No, everything's about consistency. So you sit down and read consistently for maybe 2-3 weeks, and then you'll feel like, oh, now I'm all caught up. And of course, chat with people in your class, because conversation and communication is what's going to establish where you are.
Thank you for being so honest and genuine with how you're answering these questions. Because you could have very easily been like, yeah, it's all so easy to me and I'm so good at these things and I'm unstoppable. And what do you mean you don't have a scuba diving license and you're not a pilot? Like, what do you mean? So honestly, thank you so much for being very genuine and honest with the way that you're answering these questions.
No, I'm terrible with all these things. I'm literally I never even thought about doing all these things. I was terrible at them. But that's the thing. If I want to be honest and inspire the next generation, then I need to show them that, hey, everything does not go perfect. Reality is messing up and learning. Yeah, it's messy. So that's the reality. So for kids that are listening, hey, it's okay if you fail that one exam. Your life does not depend on it. There's so much more out there.
Yes. Okay, so moving on to our third, and I would say one of my favorite segments on the IIAS series, and it's your astronaut identity and the future vision that you have for yourself. So for starting off with like a very basic question, what kind of astronaut do you want to be known for?
Well, I wanted to be Pakistan's first male astronaut. I don't know if that's possible, but I know that now space is a little bit more accessible, but it's still kind of the billionaires' playground. It's still restricted to the ultra wealthy if it's not the topmost scientists. And I do see a lot of people around me. There are quite a few people I know who, at a relatively young age, have been able to go up. And it might be, due to connections or their wealth, or I might not have all that. And I might not be the youngest person to go up, but I want to be the person who went up and has had the most meaningful journey. Like, I want to be able to earn it. I want to do anything and everything and put in so much time and effort. It will take years. I don't expect this to happen next year. I think it will take years and years. But if I do go up, even if it's in 2050, I think I want people to look at it and say, oh, wow, he's come such a long way from where he was as a kid.
I like that. I think it's very important to make that, how do you say, distinguishment like that, to make that difference. It's not just about, getting to space. It's more about what do you do when you get there? Just like anything in life, it's not about the destination. It's about the journey. I think that's more important.
Yeah, exactly. You fall in love with the journey. You remember how you were asking for the quote? You know what is a quote that I really like?
Yes,
Tell
okay.
me. You know what is the scariest place to be? Or what is the scariest place to be in?
Are you like, is
The
this
same
a
place? No, it's a quote. Like, what is the scariest place to be in? The same place as last year. That's the quote.
Terrifying. Yes.
Like, it's okay if you're only making 1% progress, just 1%. But it's about that you are making progress. Keep making progress. Fall in love with the process. Fall in love with the journey.
What would be your dream mission, and who would be your dream crewmates?
A dream mission, one-way trip to literally anywhere that has not been discovered, and like anywhere that no human has gone before. Send me on a one-way trip to Mars. I don't want to come back. I will die on the rocky red surface. I don't know about dream teammates or crewmates. I think anybody. I just want a crew that I vibe with. I just want people that I can joke around with, have a good laugh with. That's all I need. As long as we get along, it's all good.
As long as I'm in charge of the aux on the on the rocket, I'm good. As long as I can play my music, I'm good. You put me in with anybody.
Yeah.
All right. So you kind of have talked about this already a little bit, but what would be your message to the world, to anybody listening right now, to anybody that you could hope to inspire? What would you say to them?
Take action. Just take action. This is not sponsored by Nike, but just do it. Just do it. Like, just do it, man. It doesn't matter what you want to do. It doesn't matter if you don't want to do anything. You want to just sit around? What do you want to do while sitting around? You want to watch Netflix? Like, it doesn't matter if your choice of hobby is cinema, cars, music, dancing, or something technical like you want to do quantum physics or something. It doesn't matter. Pull out your phone, start recording videos. No professional camera, no mic, nothing. Just you and your ideas. With cars, like read like car magazines while you're on the toilet. Just 10 minutes a day. It doesn't matter. Hey, just indulge yourself. Why inhibit yourself with music? After you come back from your 9 to 5, learn to play guitar, take salsa classes every day. Maybe just read the physics journal a little bit while you're sitting waiting for your Uber Eats order. Just read a little bit. Indulge in your hobbies and take action. Just do it. And when you do get the chance, finally, and you've learned enough how to play the guitar, go perform somewhere. Go perform in front of your friends. Just do it,
Wow. Yeah. No, honestly, that's amazing. Yes, thank you for saying it like that. And this is my favorite question to ask people. Okay. If right this very second, NASA calls you up or any space agency calls you up and tells you your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to go to space. what would be your first reaction? What would be your reaction, just generally?
Yo, is this a scam call? I think for real? It's just real? I don't know. I think I was just being in shock.
Say
I think
wallahi. Hello,
no,
Nasty. Wallahi.
yeah, I would not believe it. I would just be in shock. Like, what's going on? Am I in a dream? I would start slapping myself. I gotta wake up. But well, I mean, genuinely, I think I would just start jumping up and down, run around, tell all my friends. Well, first I'm gonna go tell my parents. I'm gonna go call my parents. Gotta let them know, and then I'll call my brother. Gotta let him know, and then I will go to my best friend from back home. I have a best friend. His name's Hamza, and I've known him like my entire life, and we go way back. And like that, he's family at that point, right? And these are the friends that they've seen all phases of me. They've stuck around for so long that those are the ones that know the true struggle. They know what type of work has been gone into this. So you got to let them know, like, hey, it worked out. I made it,
I made it. What do your friends think of? Because my friends sometimes get frustrated with me when it's like, oh, they're trying to make plans. They want to do this. They want to do that. But for me, my success, my work has always come first. Even unfortunately, even before my family, there's been a lot of family events, a lot of like friend hangouts that I just had to like not attend. You know what I mean? So what do they think about you having to miss out on some of these things because you're on this like very special journey that very few try to go on?
I think I try my best. Like, I want to be able to do both. Like, I don't want to be missing out on life as well. Like, my mindset is not, I know that I had a lot of people in my physics class that didn't really do much. And when I asked them, I think also, okay, so when I was in undergrad, I also had a lot of friends who were engineering. And by coincidence, we had some in my neighbors were engineers. And I asked them, like, hey, what are your plans for the weekend? What are your plans for next month? What are you looking forward to? And sometimes, like, their whole perspective just seemed like, oh, I'm going to enjoy after I'm done with uni. I'll enjoy once I've made it, once I've done this. Like, I feel like you got to enjoy throughout. The happiness should not be stopping. You got to enjoy throughout. And since I am dedicated to what I'm doing, and I will be spending time on my assignments, on my fitness, on anything that I'm doing. And sometimes I won't be able to, attend every party that I'm invited to. I might have to miss out on some gatherings, some family reunions. But I want to be able to make priority for them whenever I can. If there is anything that I can reschedule, I will prioritize my friends and family, because I think that my career, I don't know where it's going to go, but these people are my day ones. They are everything. They come first. If I can reschedule my other stuff, but I'm not going to do this every week, but I'm saying it's about quality time, right? So I'm 6 days out of the 7 days of the week, I'm going to be working quietly, just alone, just on my own. But that one day where I do go hang out, I will go all out, work hard, party hard. Then I want to have the best version of myself out there. And I will only go out, let's say 1 day a week, but that one day I will go out and have as much fun as possible. I think, work hard, play hard is my philosophy.
And just to kind of end the episode on a very positive note, what would you want your legacy to be? Like, if you could remember it for one thing, what would it be? And keeping in mind, this is a very general question. So I'm not asking like what action or what achievement you want to be remembered for. I'm saying just generally speaking, when people speak of you after you're gone, what do you want them to say? Like, what's the one thing you want them to say about you?
I think I want my close friends, family, the people who know me personally, I want them to remember me as the person who came such a long way, because they know the setbacks that we've had in like early life and everything. So I want them to remember how much the journey has changed me and all that. But for the rest of the world, I think I want them to remember me as the person who tried his best, the person who wasn't scared, and maybe he didn't achieve it all, but he tried. I think the effort goes a long way.
I'll tell you mine, but
Yeah.
don't be jealous because I had quite some time to think about it because obviously I'm the one who's setting the questions here. And this was something that I'd seen on Instagram maybe like years ago, and I held on to it very tightly since then. And it was something like, when people think of her, they think of sunshine and a shot of espresso. And I try to in everything that I do, and like, yeah,
That is a good one.
So in what sense? Okay, so what does that mean? Sunshine is like someone who's very warm. I want to be remembered for being warm and kind to the people around me, whether they're strangers or loved ones. And the shot of espresso comes in as someone who's like super energetic and passionate, and just I put so much energy and effort and love into everything that I do, whether it's my research, like the stuff I'm doing in Zurich, or if it's the podcast, or if it's spending time with my friends or my family. Just putting in so much energy, that's the espresso, and warmth, that's the sunshine, into anything that I do, and making sure that this is what people remember about me after I'm gone.
That's a really good way to have it. Yeah.
I told you, like, I had some time to think about this. I came prepared. But yeah, honestly, Hassan, like, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I'll be very honest with you. I think I have told every single guest that I've had on the podcast that their episode is my favorite, and it will remain to be my favorite until I record the next episode, and then that becomes my favorite, and then I record the next episode, and that becomes my favorite. And so as of right now, like at the end of our episode together, at the moment, this is my favorite. I loved all your answers. I love the energy that you put out into the universe. I really think the world needs more people like you. Like, I genuinely think you're an amazing human being, and please don't never lose this grit that you have, this passion to just do everything, and doing it not fearlessly, but doing it scared, but still doing it is so important. So just, honestly, thank you for being you.
Well, thank you so much for all the kind words. That's very sweet. And I will try my best to keep up my adventures.
Yeah, keep the rest of us entertained, those that have you on Instagram. All right. So this is the end of the episode. And if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to click the little bell button to get a notification every time I upload a new episode. And yeah, just give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. Thank you for listening.